Meantime, I'll bring you up to date on a hockey summit that was scheduled for Florida. Let me just give you an idea of who was invited to attend. Quoting here, participants must be 18 years of age or older, based in the U.S., and identify as female, black, Asian, Pacific Islander, Hispanic, Latino, Indigenous, LGBTQA, and or a person with a disability. Veterans also welcome and encouraged to attend. You get the gist. That seems to be a fairly focused crowd, not an everybody crowd. The governor made a big stink of it in Florida. Where do things stand now? Let's go to Vivek Ramaswamy, the Strive Asset Management Executive Chairman, author of the runaway bestseller, Nation of Victims. They've dialed it back. I don't know to the degree they've dialed it back, Vivek, but what do you think of all this?
Well, I think it's a fitting day to be talking about it. Today is Martin Luther King Day. MLK had a dream in this country that his children would be judged not on the color of their skin, but on the content of their character. And I think we have made a mistake in this country in the last 5 years, somehow believing that more race consciousness is the way to fight racism, when in fact more race consciousness is what causes racism in America today. And I think today is just such a good day to celebrate that dream that Martin Luther King had 60 years ago, and to revive the idea that you get ahead, whether it's in hockey or whether it's in the classroom, based on the content of your contributions and your skills, not the content of your melanin.
And that was kind of the gist of what DeSantis' office was saying. His press secretary, Brian Griffin, had said discrimination of any sort is not welcome in the state of Florida, and we do not abide by the woke notion that discrimination should be overlooked if applied in a politically popular manner or against a politically unpopular demographic. This is a strong win for Governor DeSantis, who, has reminded people both in his reelection campaign and now potentially as a presidential candidate that Florida is a state where woke goes to die. This might be an illustration of that, but your thoughts?
I think this is a much more of a national issue. And while I applaud governors who take a step in their respective states, this is a moment to ask ourselves who we are as a country. I'll let you know a little bit of an unknown fact, or not a lot of people are aware of, Neil. Affirmative action in this country was actually driven by the federal government. There was a Johnson-era executive order, it's 11246, that mandates government contractors, that's over 20% of the U.S. workforce, have to be hired based on race-based quotas. Republicans for a long time could have rolled this back. Not a single one of the last 3 Republican presidents rolled it back. So I think this is an opportunity to take some of those smaller steps that individual governors are taking at the states to hopefully in 2024 and beyond, making this a national issue to revive merit in America. And I think that's something people are hungry for. American identity is about excellence regardless of your race, regardless of your gender identity or your sexual orientation. People are hungry for that on the left and on the right. And I think there's an opportunity in the next couple of years to take these issues to a national level, which is where I want to see it go.
Well, I always was wondering, too, that in this case, if you're the NHL, don't be so blatant about it. You might privately wish that this is the crowd that you attract, but don't be so blatant about it, because when you spell it out to the degree you do, what you're shouting is the rest of the world not invited. And that is what doomed them. I mean, if they wanted to be sinister about it, they could, with a wink and a nod, say, this is where we'll show our favoritism, but we just won't let people know it.
Well, I don't like the non-transparency of that. I'd rather have that debate in the open.
I agree, but it would have gotten them over this controversy.
Yeah, but the goal shouldn't be to avoid a particular controversy. I personally favor if these are the issues lurking beneath the surface, let's air them and have it out as debate. I mean, Ibram Kendi, who wrote another runaway bestseller, How to Be an Anti-Racist, says in his book that the way to stop past discrimination is through present discrimination. The way to stop present discrimination is through future discrimination. I deeply disagree with that worldview, but so many of our institutions, apparently including the National Hockey League, have embraced that. And I would rather us have this debate than to have it behind closed doors, non-transparently. And I think that will be good for our country because merit is on the winning side of this debate. And I think that will be good for black people, white people, Asian people, and everyone in between. And I'm looking forward to that. I think there's a cultural movement back towards reviving excellence. Let's have it in the open rather than hiding it behind closed doors.
The only reason I mentioned in the context of Governor DeSantis is some of his potential rivals, should he run for president for the 24 Republican presidential nomination, have criticized his using the government, in this case the state government, as sort of like a way to get what he wants on woke.